Hello, welcome to Recentered podcast, a VR and AR podcast where we're increasingly talking about ancient games, playing them in a slightly new way, it seems, but we'll get onto that later on. My name is Gary from the YouTube channel Immersed Robot, and joining me as always is Lee, also known as Daysnetic, and Rog, also known as Fleet Rogie. And so we've got plenty of stuff to get into this week, far more than I expected, actually, looking at the show document, but we'll progress through it. But before all of that, let's have a quick catch up. So, Lee, I'll go over to you first. How are you, mate? What have you been up to?
Not too bad. Had this horrible flu, lurgy. I'm always ill for the last 2 weeks. And I think you've also had that as well, right?
Yeah, I felt awful last week, yeah.
Yeah, really bad. So not so much VR gaming. I've sort of took a bit of a break from it as well. I've been getting a bit, I don't know, not complacent, but just a bit, not fed up either. But it's just like, I just want to break from VR for a bit. So I've been playing a bit of other things. I got that, is it Enshrouded? I picked that up for the missus yesterday. And that's like an RPG builder type thing on Steam. And yeah, I played a couple of hours on that. That's quite good. So that kind of chilled me out a little bit. But yeah, apart from that, just been totally ill, as usual, so that's about it.
Yeah, I've been. It wasn't last week; it was the week before. I just felt bad all week. I did, and yeah, it wasn't great, but recovered now, so I'm okay at the moment. But Rog, what about you? You had any illnesses?
No, I've been surprisingly okay. It's the weird side effect ever since the sort of the pandemic was I've never had a cold and I've never had the flu since, where I'd get multiple colds a year, but maybe I'm just being even more of a hermit than I normally am, really. So who knows?
Yeah. So for me, I have been playing some VR. Some of the stuff we'll be talking about. I just quickly wanted to mention that for me, I've been going back into some older stuff, really. Well, not even going back in. I've just been sort of looking through my library from back in the old days when it was sort of 2016, 2017 in Steam and just looking at some of their titles. I went into Apollo 11 HD, not played that since the start. It's aged, the graphics not particularly great, but it's still a good experience to go through. And also I picked up Space Engine on the sale, which is worth looking into if you're into that kind of stuff. Like obviously it's not a game. You just it's like a sandbox really, but you can go and explore. It's sort of got all these accurate physics and stuff in there. It's very interesting if you're into space anyway. So I've been into that. But looking through my old library, do you remember any of these games? I'm sure you remember them all, but the ones that I want to get back into, do you remember Giant Cop? That was one that was around. It was one that was coming for a long time, and then they got bought. They didn't get bought by Oculus, but they got exclusivity for Oculus, and everybody sort of turned against this developer. But that's available on Steam. And it was available sort of a year after the Oculus exclusive. But
I remember the name, but that's about it.
Yeah, so I'm going to go back into that at some point. Gnomes and Goblins, Island 359, Left Hand Path, the Solus Project, all of these really older games that I've just not touched for such a long time. But I think some of them do stand up, but and we'll get into some other older stuff anyway later on. But yeah, it's interesting just to go into your old library sometimes. And
Solus Project is one I always wanted to play, and for some reason I never actually got around to it.
Yeah, that rings a bell, Solus Project.
Yeah, I've got it on Steam, and I think it was also on PSVR, the original PSVR at one point.
Yes,
and then
that's right.
Eventually it got took off the store for some reason.
Yeah. Oh, right. I didn't realise it got taken down. It's yeah. I've got it on my Steam library anyway. I've been in there a few times, but honestly, some of these games, these old ones from 2016, you think, oh, they're never going to stand up to what we've got now. But actually, some of them do in some ways, and it's interesting. But you can also go back and see some of the design philosophies that people had back then, because it was so rigid. Some of the design of how these games were made, and it's interesting just to go back and see how all that's changed anyway. But anyway, we should probably get on with the show. So we're going to get into some of the stuff that we've been playing over the past couple of weeks first, and the first title we're going to get into is Bulletstorm VR. So we got keys for this for the PC version and the PSVR 2 version. I believe we've all played it, or attempted to at least, and several times, and so we'll talk about this. This is It's for £33.50. Is that right? On PC on Steam, and then £32.99 on PSVR 2. We didn't play the Quest version, but it's available on Quest as well for £30. So, I mean, Rog, you've played most of this probably, I think, out of all of us. So why don't you start us off?
I've played quite a few hours of this. Unfortunately, I seem to have played quite a few hours of the first hour again and again and again because this should not have been released.
No.
It's an absolute mess. It's disgusting. The problem they've got is, first of all, the version they released for review, which we got hold of first, was patched on day one. I don't think they even announced the patch, but as soon as it launched, there was a 6 to 8 gig patch for like PC and PSVR, and it's just a mess. It absolutely reeks of it makes it feel like they just didn't care. Yeah, it's that bad. I think there's since been another patch. It might have been yesterday or the day before. There was an actual patch what came out, but the problem is then the damage has already been done because everybody's reviewed the version, pre-patch, and even after it's been sort of updated, it's still bad. A lot of the sort of notes I've got now do relate, well, some of the notes relate to the review version rather than the publicly released one. It's just a bit of a mess all around. I can't remember. I don't know what's been updated since. I've no idea. But just as an example of the state they released this in, on the PC version, I didn't see it on the PSVR version, bizarrely, but on the PC version, there's in places, there's a film grain effect. There's an animated film grain effect in VR, and it just makes it look like there's a bad Miura on certain scenes. It's ridiculous. I have no idea why it's there. The original release, the subtitles, they'd put VR subtitles in which were accurately located in your space so you could read them properly. And then they seem to have forgot to turn off the original desktop subtitles. So you've got two copies of the subtitles on the screen, one big and bold in front of you you can read, and then one off to the side, which is obviously the desktop subtitles. Yeah.
Oh, God.
And even then, they only rendered that in your left eye.
Yeah.
The desktop subtitles. I think they've patched that out. That isn't there anymore. There was a massive problem with the hand pose. I saw that reported in a few places where it was like your hands were on the PC version were 90 degrees compared to where they should be.
Yeah.
So for that reason, I just ended up abandoning the PC one, and the footage what was showing is from the PSVR 2 version, just because it was the more playable of the two at the time. I don't know what the PC version's like now. It's actually been patched, but just the gameplay. You're running through the world. You've got an AI companion with you for most of the time, and it was just like sometimes it just shoot at dead bodies instead of like enemies that were there in front of you who were shooting at you. Sometimes it'd just be behind you, faced in a different direction, shooting at random scenery. Apparently, there were shader effects that are only rendering in your left eye and not in your right eye. And again, this is something else we've got. I think GT picked up on that one. He found even more examples of where that was happening. The performance is just poor. It doesn't hold a native frame rate. After the first sort of patch, I thought it had picked up slightly frame rate wise. It wasn't. It was just that I was continuing my game, and the area I'd got to was just more performant than the previous areas. When I went back and played from the start again, you could see it was still as poor as it was. There's just little bits as well which aren't nothing to do with how the game plays, but it just shows you the lack of attention to detail. And I don't know if it's things that have been left in from the original game or if it's a result of the port. But like the doctor walking around the medical table at one point, after she's just put a body on the table, and he walks around the table, and his hands are in this pose as if he's holding an invisible rifle. It's like, nothing major, and it's nitpicking, but it just shows you that lack of attention to detail that it almost just couldn't be bothered, and it just feels like that all the way through. And the annoying thing is, I was absolutely dreading going back into it to capture some footage, because the sort of footage I captured first time round when I first played it, it was just a mess, because I was just struggling with the game, even getting it to run. Because I think you've had the same problem, haven't you? It's just on PC at least, it just crashes.
Yeah.
On PSVR, it crashed as well, because I ditched the PC one. I thought I'll capture the footage on PSVR, so I went in. I was about 40 minutes into the PSVR version, and it crashed on me. and all the footage went, because obviously I don't have a capture card. I'm just recording straight to the console, but the game crashed and took the footage with it. I really was ready to say, right, screw this. Just don't even give them the time of day. Just come on and absolutely annihilate it. But I did go back later on and play through it. The annoying thing is, it's a dated game, and you can feel it's a dated game. But I still feel there's a game there somewhere hiding underneath it all that I'd have an okay time with. Because I love the original one, or the remastered flat version, should I say. Not the original, the remastered one, which was from, I think, 2017. I loved it at the time because it looked good, it ran great, and just the big spectacle of the big set pieces was fantastic. And it just, all these problems just diminish it to an absolutely poor product. And it should never have been released like this. I know it was delayed was it from November or December, wasn't it? It was originally supposed to be out.
Something like that. I know it did have a delay, but a month or two, yeah.
And so they pushed it back to this year. It needed even way more time. It's an absolute mess.
Yeah, well, Lee, what did you think? Because we've both attempted to play it, haven't we? So yeah,
more than once. This is why. I mean, I'm watching Roger's footage, and I'm thinking, you know what? I won't mind actually playing this, but playing it was the problem, because I could have, when I eventually got it to load, before I went trying. I mean, this is all running virtual desktop, and yes, it could be user error. More than likely, it is me. To try and load it up, it would just error and it wouldn't work. So then you have to run it from Steam, pick which one you want, Oculus or Steam. Fine, run it through Steam VR. It wasn't the best looking. It was a bit shaky on screen, but the very first part of the game, I don't think I want to give any spoilers away here, is a man sat down and a bloke's kind of interrogating him, and he's got a bottle on his head, and it tells you shoot the bottle off his head. I couldn't shoot the bottle off his head, and so the first time I was doing it, I was like pressing trigger, it's not doing anything. And I was speaking to Roger about it. I think we were playing Walkabout mini golf, right, Rog? And then Roger was going, yeah, and then I changed the ammo loading, so then when I cocked the gun to fire, and I went, wait, what? You have to cock the gun. So then I realised that I'd not even cocked the gun. So perhaps that's why it's not firing. So then I went back in, loaded it all up, installed it again because I already uninstalled it because I got rage quit. And it's done the same again. So I'm pressing trigger. It's showing me the trigger icon. It's showing me the line to shoot the bottle. And I'm pressing trigger and it's doing nothing. And that's as far as I got in the game.
It's just a total mess. When they've sent the review copies out, even some of the menu stuff didn't work. If you swapped between the different loading types, like there's manual, immersive, semi-immersive, and I can't remember. We'll call it arcade for the sake of button press loading. And if you tried swapping between them, at least on PSVR at the time, it didn't change the loading type. I couldn't change it from manual to sort of the button press loading to try and give that a go. It works now. I think the day one sort of patch fixed that. But again, it just shows you the state they actually sent this out in for review. And so no wonder it's got absolutely hammered.
But we're all having different issues though, right? I mean, Gary's having different issues to me as well. I think he's got in the game. I mean, you probably ought to speak about it, Gary, what you think. But what makes me mad is it's been delayed once. No one would have batted an eyelid if they'd gone, look, this still's not right. We're going to have to give it another 3 months, maybe even 6 months. Bear with us. We're going to fix all these bugs, get it sorted out. I mean, I even saw a tweet that them put out the other day saying, we're aware of all the issues. Thanks for bringing them to our attention. We're like going to work down them in priority order. Work down them? How about get them fixed first and then release the game? Because I'm not saying we're influencers in any way, but most people have just slammed it, right? Some people maybe enjoy it, but most of us just slammed it. I mean, saying influence, I can't even influence my youngest daughter to bring a dirty pots down from upstairs. But
yeah, I know
people
that,
be listening to this or watching this and thinking, well, I'm not going to bother even buying that. What's the point?
Yeah, I think the issue is, so I had very similar problems. I've installed this 3 times on my PC, uninstalled it, reinstalled it, trying to get to the bottom of it. I had black screens where it just wouldn't load. I've tried this, by the way, on using Steam Link. I've tried it using Air Link. I've tried it using Virtual Desktop. I get some of the same issues in all 3. I'll get various issues in each one. You just don't know what you're going to get. So sometimes I'll load it up. I won't get any audio. Now, I want to make it clear as well, because I've played plenty of other VR stuff over the past couple of weeks since this has been released. I've never had any issues whatsoever. Certainly none of the issues that are reported in this. So It's nothing to do with my PC or my setup. And once again, I've tried all 3 streaming methods to get this running. Yeah. So on PC, I'll get a black screen. Sometimes it will load in. If it loads in, I've got no audio. Sometimes I'll load in and the inputs won't work. I can't use. Some inputs will work, some won't. So I've like you, Lee. I've rage quit and uninstalled it and thought I'm not going to even give this the time of day. Then I tried it on PSVR and I thought, okay, I can at least get it running on PSVR. And I mean, it doesn't look great, but it runs and I can play it at least. So I thought maybe I'll just go back into the PC version. Now it's been patched. Still the same problems. I'm still getting the same issue. This, honestly, is one of the worst releases I can remember. It's a joke. It's a complete joke as far as I'm concerned. So, yeah, I've got nothing good to say about it. And there are people, like you say, Lee, there are people that will say, okay, it's just mindless fun and it's shooting and that kind of stuff. And if you can get it working and get past all the problems, maybe there is some kind of game there. I've not really got anything to say on the gameplay because I've not played enough of it to even report on it. But I have persevered. That's the thing. At the back of my mind, those first few times I was thinking I'm just going to quit and not even bother mentioning it on this podcast. But I have persevered. I've gone in multiple times trying to get this to work now. And I just can't. So, as far as I'm concerned, I'm done with it, really.
Yeah,
now.
It is that much of a mess. The other thing with the PSVR 2 version, because I thought initially it was something to do with not having my correct account set to primary on my PS5. When I loaded the PSVR 2 version in, I'd get a black screen, and there was just nothing there, except if I turned around, a little icon would come up saying, press the button to recenter type, icon.
Yeah. And
it just did nothing. And I was talking to you about it, Gary. I just couldn't figure this out. And then accidentally one day, I've got my PS5 on. I went to load it up and I was looking at the TV. So I just loaded it. I happened to just press the button and load it on the TV. My headset wasn't turned on. And it came up on the screen. Oh, it needs a PSVR 2, put your headset on. I put the headset on and turned it on. And it worked. So to actually even play this on PSVR 2, I have to load it up on my monitor, on my TV, with the headset turned off. I can't actually run the game if I go into the headset first. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, there may be a fix for my button issue, but I just couldn't be bothered to go into the Steam page discussions or look for anyone else having the same issue. I thought, why should I have to do that? It's pressing trigger. It's not something, groundbreaking. It's just pressing the trigger in the game, and I couldn't do it.
And the issue is as well, on PSVR, you buy it, you can't really refund it either. That's the thing.
Yeah.
But on Steam, fair enough, you buy it, it's in this state, you just think I'll just refund it and get my money back. It's not cheap either. No. I mean...
No.
The thing with it as well is... I'm getting that worked up now. I thought of the thing and then I've forgotten. I've instantly forgotten. I'm just feeling. I'm feeling rage. It's
this is it. I mean, like you said, in 6 months' time, it might be a great game. If that's the case, release it in 6 months' time. Then.
Yeah. Oh, it's just the PSVR 2 version is just blurry as well. It's low, It's low res.
Looks awful. It looks awful. And there was, I did notice a post on Reddit, actually. I've not played the PSVR 2 version for the last couple of days. Still got it installed on my PC, actually, so maybe I will go back in. But somebody did say that they felt like there was an increase in graphics, like the resolution, stuff like that. But they said that the anti-aliasing looks worse, so there's more shimmering. So I wonder if they've just turned off the anti-aliasing because the effect of that can make it look sharper, but you get more of that shimmering kind of look. So maybe they've done something to do with that. I don't know.
It looked the same to me, at least on the PSVR 2 version. Okay. Anyway, I mean, it definitely looks better. If anybody watching the video back, it looks way better on the monitor than it does in the headset. In the headset, it looks low res.
Yeah. So, not a lot of good things to say on Bulletstorm.
Thanks for the devs for sending us the keys, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, with regards to it, them pushing it out, I don't know if they've got just having the same problems that a lot of devs seem to be having, where it's all cash flow. They've got to release the game to get some cash in. And you can sympathise with them from that point of view, but it doesn't mean that you can give an honest opinion, say, no, it's fine, it's absolutely fine, because it's absolutely not fine. It's one of the worst releases I can remember for a while.
Do you think surely they'd benefit from, I mean, like you say, like a cash flow thing, but holding it back to try and fix some of these bugs, to at least get it playable for everyone? Yeah. And then they wouldn't get this sort of coverage or, feedback that we've all been given. And it's honest feedback. I mean, we're not saying anything that it's not.
No.
But yeah, it's just disappointing, really, more than anything, because we're getting more and more things like this, and this is another thing what's doing me with VR, I guess. But I mean, it comes across all games. I mean, most games are early access now on Steam and that anyway, so you're always buying into these things where they develop them while you're purchase them.
Last year were bad enough, and it's like this is not a good start to this year.
No.
Anyway, enough of that. Get to the next thing.
Anyway, welcome to the podcast, everyone, and
Enjoy.
So the next one on the list, this is one that, Lee, you have played, Lethal Company, the VR mod. So I don't know anything about this game or the mod. So take us through it.
I didn't really know anything about the game as such. I know Dr. Greg was playing it, and they played it flat screen, and someone bought a VR mod out for it. And I said, there's quite a big buzz about this game on Steam. I think it's been selling like ridiculous amounts, and it looked quite good fun multiplayer. So I said, next time you're in, let me know, and I'll jump in. So he invited me in very kindly, and then there ended up being about 9 of us in. I think Beardo Benjo was in, GT, PD, a few other VR content creators, Mr. Survivor. Sorry if I forgot anyone off. But yeah, you're sort of like on a mining ship, and you've got 3 days to get this certain quota. So what you do is you land on a planet, and you'll go into basically a big warehouse where you've got to try and pick scrap up. So it could be a giant cog or a screw that's like 4 foot big and things like that. And then you drop them back off on your ship. And then after 3 days, hopefully, when you've delivered all this quota, you sort of move up a level, and you can get perks and transporters and things like that. All different bits you can get for yourselves, walkie-talkies, different, I think, weapons. But obviously, I didn't know how to play it, and I had no clue. But yeah, the VR mod's actually really, really good, and it is quite good fun. It does seem to work pretty well. I did have to run mine on 45 frames ASW because my PC is just not great. But yeah, it's good fun. It's a good laugh. I enjoyed playing it in VR. I'd definitely go in again. Ben was really funny. GT was funny. I died a lot, but the thing about when you die as well, it sort of brings up a giant flat screen monitor in your view, and you can like switch cameras, so you can watch other people running around and squealing, and when they're dying, and you can only hear people that's dead. So if you're dead, if Dr. Greg was dead, I could only speak and hear him, and all the other people obviously can't hear. Yeah, I thought it's like £9 or £8.50, something like that.
Yeah,
and it's a good laugh. It's definitely a good laugh. I'd recommend getting it.
And this looks like it's Dr. Greg's footage that we're showing here as well.
He's very I did message him and said, "Can I steal some of your footage? If that's all right." Said, yeah, no problem. Go for it.
And he's playing with his big screen beyond on his 4090. He's living the dream here, I think.
Yeah, I'm sure it ran a lot better on his PC than what it did mine. But yeah, it's just the real fun, because when you get separated as well, there's a part where I got separated from everybody, and trust me, in this sort of area, if you've not got a torch, it is pitch black. You can't see a thing. And when I came out, it was dark, and I was trying to get back to the ship, and I couldn't see anything at all. I got eaten by a big tree monster. But yeah, that was quite funny. But no, I enjoyed it. I've been running for a couple of hours. I had a really good time. It's definitely multiplayer. Get some friends in. The VR mod is basically you just install it. I think I used a program. I've got it down on my PC. Let me load it up. It's called R2 Modman, I think. It's if you can get that to download it, and then you just download the VR mod and some other mods on it. I think we ran about 12 mods altogether, and yeah, it ran fine. Well, we had a couple of crashes, but I think that's because there were so many of us in there. I think the actual game is only supposed to be 4 people.
Oh, okay.
And there were like 9 of us, so I mean, all over the world playing it, which obviously didn't help Dr. Greg any.
There we go. Yeah,
but yeah, it's great fun. I enjoy it. I got killed by monsters. I got killed. I think PD got killed by some bees. You know, it's just you're laughing all the way through it and having a right good time. So it's good fun.
Nice. Okay. Yeah.
It's
so
free.
that was
free. So there you go.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, so that's Lethal Company anyway, for anybody interested in that one. Guys, these guys have got something good going on here, I reckon.
I don't think we've mentioned Walkabout mini golf before, right?
I'm just trying to think. Maybe we are at the outliers.
I think I've said that joke about 5 times.
Yeah. So this is the around the world in 80 days. Why does it say 90 days on the show document?
Oh yeah, it does. It does say 90 days. That was your what's that bloke off of that film that reads on the teleprompter all the while?
Yeah.
Is it Ron? Is it his name? Ron Burgundy? No, Ron Burgundy.
That's it. Yeah. Anchorman, isn't it?
Anchorman. Yeah, that's your Anchorman moment. We can clip that.
That was it, yeah. Okay. Yeah, around the world in 8 days.
Wow.
Thank you for whoever's just corrected that. Anyway,
including 10 bonus days.
Yes. So I went in this with you, Rog, didn't we? We went in and played through. I only played the easy one so far. I don't know what you guys have played, if you played through it multiple times or not yet. But yeah, so, well, Rog, what do you think of this one?
Well, this is the thing with this one. When the first time I played it, I didn't like it. I thought it looked okay, but I thought, oh, it's really basic. But it's massively grown on me for some reason. I don't know why, but I really like it now. It's a good one. It's not Meow Wolf standards or anything, but then again, nothing is. No. But yeah, it's a decent one. It's definitely a good one for when you're in there with like 3 or 4 people. And you just having a chat and playing around. It's a nice chill one. Yes,
yeah.
Definitely.
I enjoyed it when we went through it, but it felt, because I've only played it through that once anyway, and I did feel like it was a little bit, I don't want to say generic, because there was some good stuff in there, but like the holes themselves maybe weren't quite up to, and I think it's difficult when you're comparing stuff. You're just coming out of playing Meow Wolf and how original now that they mix things up in that so much, coming back to what is really like a more basic, straightforward mini golf game, and that's good enough. I think they've done a good job on it anyway. And but Lee, have you played this the hard version as well?
Yeah, I did play. I jumped in last night with Welsh Gamer and Clickster, and we had to go at the hard version. Yeah, and it is hard. Well, for me anyway. I think I got like plus 15. Clickster got par, bizarrely. I have no idea how. It's obviously a lot better than what I am. But yeah, I jumped in with Rog. I think the day later, I think when you guys were playing, I was still quite ill. So I jumped in with Rog. And yeah, there's just something about it. I guess the around the world in 80 days thing, because it's not, is it really? It's in the Eiffel Tower, and you're just doing it in that. So that's kind of what's confused a lot of people, because a lot of people were saying to me, I just don't like it because it's not around the world in 80 days at all. And you do see things flying around the Eiffel Tower, like elephants and pianos and various bits and bobs. But for the course design, if you just take a minute and look up inside and the design of it, the shadows, the lighting, it's a really well done course. It's a shame that it's been, I mean, if they just put this map out as a tower in Paris and just put it out as an individual map without the whole Jules Verne thing, I don't think anyone would say anything about it. But because it's part of those three, and how great 20,000s was, especially, and even Journey to the Center of the Earth. But I think I'd put this as my second favourite out of the three. Once I played it, I did really enjoy the course as well, and I like the holes. I thought they were okay.
It is decent. I think out of the Jules Verne ones, I think it'd probably come third for me. I think 20,000 Leagues, then Journey to the Center of the Earth, and this. But it's still good. It's very vertical in the design, not of the actual holes, but of the actual course. You can stand right at the top, can't you, and look all the way down to the bottom through the structure. It's really good. I mean, again, it's £3. It's a bargain.
Yeah, still knocking it out the park, and there's no reason not to get it. So, I mean, the thing is, it's almost like a staple of the Quest at the moment, Walkabout. Everybody talks about it, and even if you recommend somebody, I mean, who in your real life wouldn't you recommend just pick up Walkabout Mini Golf? I mean,
everybody I know's got it.
Yeah.
Everyone I know's got Walkabout. If they've got one game on the Quest, it's Walkabout Mini Golf.
Yeah. Okay, and we're going to talk next about Horizon Call of the Mountain on PSVR 2. So you put this down on the list, Rog, first, and then you told me there's actually a trial, because I don't own this game, but there is a trial, and I don't know if there's always been a trial. I've never known there to be one. Do you know when that was released?
I think it might have been there since the begining. I just forgot, because when PSVR 2 came out, there was a whole host of games that got trials.
Oh, I missed that completely.
But I just forgot about it pretty much straight after, because I don't think I bothered with any of the trials. I bought what I wanted, and then we got keys for other stuff, and I just sort of forgot. I'd not suggested that to you before, and it was just because I can't remember. I was on the store, and for some reason, it just bizarrely it popped up, the trial version on the list as I was browsing, and I thought, oh yeah, I should tell Gary about
that. yeah. So because I've wanted to play, I've never really wanted to pick up the full game or play through the full game, and actually playing through the trial this morning, which I did. it's made me, you know, I'm pleased I've done it, but I don't think I'd want to pay £60 for the full game or anything like that. But yeah, go on then, Rog. What do you?
Well, this is the thing, because I'm sure there must be at least one person out there saying, hang on a minute, didn't he say he was never going to touch a reprojected PSVR 2 game ever again? And it's like, oh, good grief. This is, I feel like such a hypocrite sometimes. Or, you know, just like, or as I put on the thing, when we put down who's played what on the docs, I put down Roger the Indecisive. We've got Gary the Unfortunate on there as well, so I don't know if you just didn't have a good time with it. Or it's, right, first of all, I've had a much better time than I was expecting, because I think I'd set my expectations so low. Yeah, and the thing with it is I love the Horizon games. And I'd got to this point of, I love them that much. I still want to see what there is there story-wise, so I've got it all. You know, even though this isn't anything really to do with the main sort of storyline. I want to experience it anyway. And I had a pretty decent time. I'm quite surprised. But I'll put that aside, and there's something I actually wanted to talk about more than the actual game. I'm going to mention the R word, but maybe in a slightly more positive light, maybe. With PSVR, or PSVR 2, when you're playing a 60 FPS game, when you just turn your head around and look around, it's smooth. Yeah, you know, with that movement, it looks fine. It's smooth. It's when you rotate with a thumbstick, it looks awful. And I've seen people try to suggest some bizarre ideas as to why this might be, and maybe it's the polling rate of the joystick and all these weird and wonderful things, which makes no sense, because at the end of the day, whether you're turning with your head or turning with a thumbstick, you're turning a virtual camera. You're rotating a virtual camera. It shouldn't make any difference to the reprojection. With PSVR 2, it does. And I was playing this, and every now and again, I kept getting these glimpses, sort of thoughts of, this is smooth. Why is it smooth? It took me a while to put it together. It's when you're climbing, if you grab a surface and move, if you look, as long as performance is there, because this does suffer from performance drops, you can see it, but in a sort of performant area, if you're climbing, holding onto a rope or a ladder or going up a cliff, you just grab on and then move yourself around while you're out on the side of the mountain or whatever. If you look, it's smooth. There's no reprojection. It's bizarre. I thought, and it just clicked at one point. I thought, what's going on? And then I'd gone into the archery range, and I was like rotating around, and I'm looking at the reprojection stuff again. And for some reason, I grabbed hold of a ladder, and then rotated with the thumbstick. Yeah, and you couldn't see the reprojection. And it's like, what? And I rotated around, and it was as smooth as if you were in a Quest, as if you were on PC. There was none of that normal reprojection. And I'm at the bottom of the ladder at this point, so I've not like pulled myself up anywhere. I'm still ground level. Let go of the ladder, rotate, and the reprojection's there in your face. You know, you rotate with a thumbstick.
So, hang on a minute.
Yes, grab hold of the ladder, or a rope, rotate with your thumbstick, and it's perfectly smooth.
I'm going to have to try this. So you're actually mentioning something that somebody on Reddit posted about, I don't know, a month and a half ago, right? Somebody posted this exact thing. They said that when you're climbing or when you're close to the mountain, it looks to them like it's not reprojection and it's running at native 120. And being the idiot imbecile that I am, I confidently said that cannot be the case to be fly. And so I'm going to have to go in and try this, because it's weird if that is the case. If they are alternating between reprojecting and not reprojecting.
No, I think it's still reprojected. It's not 120, because when you see the frame rate drop in the area, if you do this in an area where it's not quite holding 60 FPS, what you can see is artifacting what you would associate with like Oculus reprojection. You get a slight shimmer on the edges of objects, that sort of thing. You can see that happening, but it looks like PC reprojection, or the bits of artifacts you get, but it looks utterly smooth.
Could it not be that because you're closer to the objects, it's like you don't get as much?
No, this is the thing. You can hold the ladder, look away into the distance. Honestly, I spent time doing this. Look away into the distance and smoothly rotate. And it's smooth. There's areas, where it actually looks smoother than if you were running a game at 72 hertz on Quest.
Wow. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go and have a look at that. Yeah,
It's utterly bizarre. Now this is the other thing, and this is why you can tell it's not 120 as well. While you're doing this, if you get your hand or get your bow and hold that in front of you at the same time, the entire background is smooth. Yeah? Your hand and what you're holding is reprojected. It makes zero sense. It almost looks like there's two lots of reprojection happening at once. A smooth one for the world, and a juddery one for your hand and your object you're holding.
Damn. Well, there's your bi-weekly reprojection update from the Recentered podcast. Anyway, so.
But this is the thing. It shows you they can do it.
Yeah.
Could I possibly tempt you, Rog, with some Resident Evil 4 now?
I honestly don't know.
We said that about Call of the Mountain, dude.
The thing is, with Call of the Mountain, you end up spending so much time climbing.
Yeah.
And it looks good.
Yeah. It does look smooth with the climbing, yeah.
You
can even see on the video the parts where it's reprojecting.
Well, you can see it dropping. It's a frame rate, yeah. You can see this game does not hold 60 frames a second.
I will say, Lee, I mean, on that video, it does look weirdly like it's just got that reprojection blur even on the video. It's
that's what
odd. I mean. In certain parts of it, but I don't know. But anyway, Call of the Mountain, when I went through, so I only played this briefly around Paradise Key's house when I tried his PSVR 2, and my first impressions were, I mean, I was just blown away by the assets and just this world that they've got, these production values. You just don't see this in VR that often, and that's the impressive thing about it, especially that opening section. But also some of the VR stuff that they've got going on. It's like you can put your hand in the water. There was a section where near the beginning where the woman that you're with is shooting these enemies while you're going along in the boat, and one of the enemies lands next to you, and it's got a arrow sticking out of it that was fired from this woman. And just on the off chance, I thought, can I just grab that? Yeah, you can just snap the arrow off. You just think these kinds of little touches you do not see in VR very often. So they've done a great job on this. It is a little bit low res, and it's obviously got that VR word there as well in places, but I'm going to have to go back in and give this another try, because there's something in it. I've got no desire to play through the full game, I will say that, but I think just as like a spectacle, it's impressive.
It's not a long game.
No.
It's not a long game. The other thing I did notice with it, because this obviously Horizon gets pushed as being one of sort of like the big sort of name titles, doesn't it? When people bring up, there's nothing out for PSVR 2, this is one of the titles that always gets mentioned. And if you look at the trophy lists, because it tells you sort of the percentage of what people have got, the percentages of the trophies. If you look at the trophy for basically the last trophy on the story mission, it's 1 out of 10 people bothered to finish the game.
Yeah.
Who actually played it in the first place. It's like, this is supposed to be one of the big titles, and it's like 1 out of 10 people bothered to finish it. It's 6 or 7 hours, maybe.
Yeah. But at the same time, you do think, I mean, this is a rare title regardless, I think, in VR. That's the thing. It's why I've wanted to play it. And in spite of all, you imagine, this is so close. If it didn't have that reprojection, if it had the level of clarity of something like Red Matter 2, and I know I'm not trying to say that that's possible or anything like that on current hardware. What I'm saying is it's so close that if it did have that really would be something special, especially if you could get something with slightly better gameplay maybe in there as well. But I think it's worthwhile as a showcase for PSVR 2.
It's another case of me possibly eating humble pie again. I had a much better time than I was expecting, but then again, I wasn't expecting much. It's overpriced. If you haven't bought it, 60 quid is way too much.
Yeah.
If it ever drops to 20 or 30 quid, then I would say buy it if you've never played it before.
Yeah. Okay, well, we can get on to the next one, which is an older title. One of the ones I was referencing at the beginning where I'd gone through my library. And the reason I chose this one is actually because, Lee, you were talking about this last week, which is Batman Arkham VR. Very old title, back from... this is a launch of PSVR? I think it was on PSVR only originally. Yeah.
It may even be 7 years old, 7 years old now. Yeah. I mean, this is the PC version. I mean, it may even be 7 years old anyway.
Yeah.
I can't remember, like you said, we were talking about last time. I can't remember where we got talking about it. I can't remember me and Roger talking about it and Walkabout Mini Golf. I just remember telling him to remind me to install and play Batman Arkham VR, because I've obviously been talking about it. But I don't know if this is this my video. What would be showing now?
No, I got your video, and I look. It was a very old video with lots of MPEG encoding. So I jumped back.
Yeah, it's awful, mate. It's because I played it on the 960. That's why I'm thinking, wow, I can't remember it looking this good. But yeah, I went back in this, and I really enjoyed the experience. I mean, it's not a long experience. It's maybe an hour, right? Maybe a bit longer.
I played through it, about an hour and a half, according to my Steam time. When I went back in, an hour and a half, yeah.
But yeah, it does make you feel like Batman, right? To say how many years old. All I could think about, though, while I was playing this is, why can't we have a 6-7 hour experience of this game come out? I mean, I don't even mind the sort of the teleportation, because it is very, very, like you say, very early VR. So there's no smooth locomotion or anything like that. Is that you're pressing like A to go from area to area? Yeah. But I thought it was great. Some of the 3D of it's really good, where you're using like a gun to like basically see inside bodies and things like that. And I'd never got to that part before. I'd only ever like played it very briefly on the 960, and I went through all this in one setting. And the character models, even the facial expressions, the mouth moving.
Yeah, so good. Yeah,
it's so good, right? Even compared to what games come out now.
Yeah. I'd say the facial animations on this are actually better than Call of the Mountain, and they're really good even in that. So yeah, I was really impressed with that part of this.
Yeah.
Did you go back all the way through it again, then, Gary? Did you load it up and?
No, so I went back in this morning because you reminded me. I thought I've got to go back in. I played through it when it first came out on PC. 2017, it came out on PC, and I went in this morning, played up to the morgue section. Yeah. So only sort of 20, 30 minutes in, whatever that is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it makes you're looking out over that city at the beginning. You just think, if this was like a true AAA VR game, because that's what it's this again, like with Horizon Call of the Mountain, it's those production values. Everything you're seeing from a 2017 game in VR, we don't often see these level of production values, and it's really well done. It suffers from, as you mentioned, Lee, some of the older design choices that they were making back then with VR games, but at the same time, it's just highly recommended. It's just really, really good.
I mean, you could pick this up really cheap as well. I think even I picked it up for like £3, and sometimes it's on sale on Steam for like £1. It's not a lot at all, and it's definitely an experience I'd recommend. At
the end of the day, it's a point and click adventure.
Yeah.
There's no combat. It's not a fighting game. Don't expect a traditional Batman game. But yeah, it still looks really good, and it's just a shock really that most games these days don't even come up to the level of this.
No. You look at that first section where you're in the alleyway with your parents and your mum is talking to you. Her facial animations are up to the standard of anything that is getting released today, in my opinion. But yeah, really, really good. And it like you say, Rog, I mean, it disappointed people at the time, because when it was first released, because it's very linear, very orchestrated. You've got very limited things that you can do in it. It is almost an experience, really. You're going through the motions, but there's just being in that world and having that level of production value makes it worthwhile again.
Yeah, definitely.
And when you first become Batman as well, you press, spoiler alert, you press the piano and it automatically starts putting you down the chute, and then you start picking bits out of your costume and the cowl you put, and then it shows you down into the cave and you've got bats flying around, and it's just, like Gary says, the production values of it even now is just, I got chills playing it, because obviously I'm on the 3060, so it even runs pretty decent on my PC. And there's some like more replayability when you've done it. There's some more like Riddler puzzles to do. I don't know if that was on the original when that first came out.
Yeah, it was.
It was it? All right. Yeah. But yeah, so there's even a bit more. You can go back in and try and get different characters and different vehicles, so you can show them in your Batcave and stuff. Yeah, but yeah, I thought it was great. I can't remember why we got on about it. So, but yeah, I had a great time going in that.
But that's part of the reason as well, going back into all these older titles, because originally we were playing these on like the Vive or the Rift, where they were really low resolution. Going back into them now and seeing some of the detail that they've got on there on modern day headsets, I think that's worthwhile doing anyway. And especially when we're still not getting these level of production values in VR. So it just reminds you of the fact of how special we expected things to be by now, and it's not quite there still.
I've started to call this the lone echo effect. That I was thinking, 5 years ago, I can't wait to see what things are going to be like in 5 years, and then it's like, oh, what the bat? Brilliant.
Okay, so a new release actually. Now we're going to extremes here. So Underdogs, this is a Quest title which I picked up. I was hesitant to even talk about this because I've literally played through the tutorial, then I've had 2 of the first matches in this as well, so I'm very near the beginning. Not got too much to say, so I'll only stay on this briefly, but this is a game by One Hamza, who were the makers of Racket NX, a great game on the Quest. And this is for £22.99 on the Quest store. So really, this is like mech boxing. That's what it is. You're in a giant mech thing. You're in an arena, and you're boxing enemies. At least from what I've played so far, that's what it seems like. And you've got power-ups. You've got different maneuvers that you can make in there. The first thing to say is this is an active game. You are going to get sweaty playing this. Well, I did anyway. And I went in last night for the first time, just played through this video that I'm showing here now, actually, and the Roger's showing here now. And I wasn't expecting to get quite as sweaty as I was just before bedtime, but I was, as we all know, like with boxing games in VR, like Thrill of the Fight, they're some of the most intensive games to play in VR, and this is exactly that. It's enjoyable. Again, I think with this one, you can see the developer, the quality of the developer that's made it. The level of polish in this is really exceptional for a Quest title. The presentation is all there. No complaints from that. The only thing I'll say is that for me personally, I don't know if this is a game that I'm going to continue with myself. For me personally, it's more like it's just on a, I've not got anything negative to say about it. It's more that, am I going to be compelled to play this again and again? And I just don't know. I don't know if it's my kind of game, but I've not really got anything negative to say about it. I think they've done a really great job with it so far. So you are this mech, you get upgrades between matches, and it presents itself as like a roguelike. So you do these various runs. Now, I don't know if it's a roguelike or a roguelite. I don't know if you get to carry over the power-ups that you get from run to run or not. I assume you do, based on how it presents itself, but I'm not entirely sure of that because I am so close to the beginning. So maybe I'll try to get back in there and report back next time, but because I'm just not necessarily feeling it in the same way that I've seen so many other people say. And when I've seen people talk about this, they're bringing up everything that I think is great about the game. So it's obviously for some people, I'm just not sure it's for me. That's all I'll say at this point anyway.
It's multiplayer as well, right?
It's single player. It's not really. No, it's not. No. As far as I know, it's not got any multiplayer aspect to it at all. It looks like a multiplayer game. As far as I know, it's single player, but I could be wrong.
I've probably got mixed up with another mech game because there's quite a few mech games out in VR, so I've probably got.
Yeah, I should probably research that because as far as I know, from what I can see from the menu system and everything else, it's only single player and it is a roguelike. So it looks like a multiplayer game because it's this kind of arena combat based look to it. So it sort of leans itself in that direction where you would think, okay, it's got to be multiplayer, but as far as I can see, it's not anyway. So
I do like the art style of it on the video.
Yeah. There's it looks great. I mean, it plays great. It looks great. It's fast paced, and it's like it's one of those games where you go in and it's like there's no pauses. Everything's instant. You click on a menu thing, you're straight into the game, and it's almost like it feels more like a really just a high quality Quest. That's what it feels like, a high quality Quest game that is doing a very specific thing, which might not be for me. It might be, I don't know. I've not played enough, so that's why I was hesitant to even talk about it this week, to be honest. But it's a new release, so why not? So leave a comment and let me know what you guys think and if I'm missing anything so far. Okay, so that was Underdogs. Let's go on to, so there was a Synth Riders DLC, Electro Swing Essentials 2. What the hell is this?
We've put this on there because they were kind enough to, send us a copy. They sent Lee a code for this, so obviously it got added to the Recentered account.
thank you very much to the devs. I really appreciate it. It's very strange because I don't think I've had any dealings with them ever, and I've not even got PSVR 2, so I'm not sure why they sent it to me. But yeah I got a key sent. They actually sent the wrong key, but it was like at 5 o'clock in the morning. They sent a Japan key. Oh, really sorry, I've sent you the Japan key, so here's the other one. So I don't know where they've got my details. Maybe it's Twitter or someone's passed them on. But yeah, I appreciate you sending this out. So yeah, I'd give this to Rog to put for the Recentered to have a go on it. And you've been playing it, right, Rog?
Yeah, I had a quick look on it. I think you'll know whether you'll like this particular pack or not, because if you like the first one, I imagine you'll like this one as well. Electro Swing apparently is not my cup of tea. So I honestly can't judge it on the quality of the songs and everything, because it's just not my thing. But it did sort of remind me how much I actually like Synth Riders now. I never used to. When it first came out, I didn't like it. I was always sort of like Beat Saber for the win. But I've definitely changed my tune on it. It's just that I wouldn't choose this personally to play because it's not my type of music. Sometimes you'll get music where, even if it's not the sort of thing you'd listen to, in the context of a rhythm game, like Beat Saber, for example, it just fits and it becomes the soundtrack for that game. And that's how I associate a lot of the music in Beat Saber. It's the soundtrack of Beat Saber. As far as I'm concerned, the Beat Saber music, most of it anyway, doesn't exist outside of Beat Saber. And I like it within Beat Saber. But yes, Electro Swing is definitely not my thing. But if it is, then give it a go.
Yep. Yeah.
That's all I can say.
I've always preferred Synth Riders to Beat Saber, to be honest.
I've never played it. Never even played Synth Riders.
It's good fun. It's good fun. I think it's because I wouldn't say it's I don't know. It's just a pretty active game, isn't it, really? But compared to Beat Saber, sometimes that used to just really kill me off. But I could do a couple of rounds on Synth Riders and be okay with it. But yeah, it's all about the music, isn't it, really? It's all whether you're feeling that type of thing. And obviously, we can't play the music. But if you can imagine, the Roaring Twenties with a bit of a techno beat on it, it's that kind of thing.
Okay, so that's pretty much all we've been playing this week anyway. Let's go on to some news. And the first one is Apple Vision Pro. So probably won't stay on this for too long. I think it's everywhere at the minute, Apple Vision Pro, isn't it? So so it sells out. They've sold the stock in the stock that they had initially, which I believe was 80,000 units based on rumours. We don't know any hard figures for any of this stuff at the moment. This is based on rumours and sort of supply chain analysts that are giving numbers for this stuff. So 80,000 units they sold out in 20 minutes, but then they pushed the pre-orders back to, I think it was March now, isn't it? March. They're pushing back to. So the estimates are that they've sold around 180, 200,000 units of the Apple Vision Pro, which, let's remind ourselves, is $3,500. It starts at $3,500, so it's not a cheap device anyway. And so, yeah, I mean, it seems like I don't know what to make of it, really. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. That they had limited supply stock, so it's sold out, and maybe they were playing it a little bit safe with regards to that. But also, it seems that they have a tough time manufacturing these in the first place anyway. So we're still waiting. It's only released in the US at the moment, and they believe that they're going to release it in other areas, including the UK, probably around May time, but we don't know that for sure either yet. So it's all up in the air, but yeah, it sold pretty well anyway. Lee, what do you think of this?
Yeah, I would have thought no matter how many they would have sold out. 20 minutes, I'm quite surprised. I thought it'd have been less than that, to be honest. It's like I said, who's it aimed for that? Definitely not me, definitely not my bank account, but people have got money. And there's that prestige thing with Apple, isn't it? And there's always been that thing of having the latest Apple product, I guess. But I'm not sure what to make of it. Yeah, until I see some videos on it and that. And like you say, if it's coming out in this country, when they're going to have stock, I think you have to make an appointment, right, to even look at one. I don't know if they're going to want to see your bank details. I don't know. But I even suggested maybe us three could go down if they'd perhaps let us video something. Like I said, not that we're...
There's no chance we'll let you video it.
I know, that's what I thought. Not that we're influencers or anything, but if we could all go down and try it out, maybe, and we can give our thoughts of it. But the things I'm seeing, it looks good. Did you guys see that 10-minute promo where they've... I'm not going to say he's an actor, where they got that person who'd never used it before, and put that video out with the woman showing him how to use it. Did you guys
it was all. Yeah, I did. It was all basic stuff, where she was guiding him through. Really, it was a video to show how you can use all the things that you used to in this now sort of spatial environment. So he's expanding the scene, he's zooming in. I mean, he's absolutely astonished by the fact that he can zoom in on a picture in this thing, which I don't really understand. But yeah, it's just a basic promotional video.
I mean, I did laugh at the beginning part. You know, when she's saying, when she's like talking to him, and then she's, oh, and I can see you. And it's like, you can see my eyes?
Yeah.
I thought, right, put that boy down for an Oscar. That was brilliant.
That's why we scanned your face at the beginning for 20 minutes. Oh, okay, yeah.
I don't think I've seen any footage of the actual headset, what it looks like through the lenses or what people see. It's always been, you know, someone's done it on a computer, rendered it, haven't they, after, and shown? Because it looks too clean for me. I don't know what you guys think. I don't know. Maybe it does look like that.
It's been massively controlled. Everything about it has been massively controlled. So we really won't know until people have got them in their hands and given it a review.
I think so. David Heaney from Upload, he's getting one. He's flying over to America to get one. I think Mike and the guy from John Hibbins, they're both flying over to pick one up as well on launch day.
The other thing I'm also hearing as well isn't it region locked? I've heard a rumor about it being region locked for America. You can only use American details and stuff like that. I don't know.
I believe that is the case because Sebastian from MRTV, he's getting one as well. But I think you need an American Apple ID to activate it as well. That's the other thing that you need to do. But I don't know. There was some other issue I think Sebastian was having with his. I'm not sure now. Anyway, I'd need to.
They wouldn't give him custom lenses because he didn't have a US lens prescription for his eyesight.
That's right. Yes, yeah.
It's not right.
They're being quite strict on this, aren't they?
Definitely for release.
Yes, I mean we'll wait for reports on it because, like I say, Brad is going to get one. David Heaney, Mike, and John Hibbins will no doubt be talking about it on Twitter and stuff. So there's people that are going to get these, and we'll get a lot of reports on it anyway. So we'll see what happens with it. Interested, and like you say, Lee, I'm going to book an appointment as soon as it becomes available over here in the UK. I'm going to try and get an appointment at my local Apple store to try it out.
I definitely want to try one. That's the thing.
Yeah,
I definitely can't afford one. That's the other thing.
Oh, well, that's the thing as well. Like I can't afford one, but even if I could, I do wonder with this particular generation, because it's still a big VR headset, really, a big heavy VR headset. How much will I use it for what it wants to be used for? That's the other thing at this moment in time. I can understand all the use cases in the future when it's a pair of glasses or a much thinner kind of thing, but it'll be interesting to see because I there's a lot of people that really are into Apple stuff and will try to persevere with it and use it, and maybe this could be the thing that we'll be able to
surprise people the most, though, the actual weight of it. I think they will be surprised how heavy it is when they do. I mean, I've not tried one, like I said, but it's going to be front heavy, and we're all aware of that. So would you be able to work in that for hours on end? I don't know. But we shall see.
We'll see. Okay, couple of news stories here. Well, the first one, MetaQuest 3. There's a EE bundle. So EE are like a mobile phone provider over here in the UK, and there's a new bundle. Lee, I don't know anything about this one.
Yeah, I just saw this. It was like a Google recommendation thing I clicked on, and it's basically you get the MetaQuest 3. It's 128 gigabyte headset, and you get an Xbox One controller, and you get 24 months Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, and it works out at £764, which sounds a lot, but obviously you're spreading that over 24 months. So it's a £20 upfront cost, and then it's £31 a month. I'm not sponsored by EE. This isn't affiliated. I'm not trying to sell you the product, but I'm just thinking for people to get on, if they're trying to get onto MetaQuest 3, it might be something worth thinking about. And I think it works out overall after 2 years. You're basically saving on about £4 like you would do normally, and you're like getting the Xbox controller for free. And it also like includes some video data pass and gamer data pass, things like that. So maybe, I don't know, just still Google search for it, because I don't think we'll be able to link this to something like that on YouTube. And if it's something you're interested in, I mean, if I had not got a Quest 3, it'd definitely be something that I would think about doing and spreading that cost. And plus you get Game Pass Ultimate. So if you've got an Xbox like I have sat outside, I'd be able to play on that. I'd be able to use the games on my PC. So all in all, it'd be a decent thing for me to have if I've not already got one.
Yeah, it's a thing where if you want those two things specifically and you don't want to pay it all at once, you're not losing out, are you?
Yeah,
So, you know,
definitely not.
it's an easy option. But aside from that, you're not really saving much.
How much is Game Pass Ultimate a month?
I think it's more like £13 a month normally.
Right. Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, without just top of my head, I mean, you might be able to get a bundle cheaper and things like that. But
So you got the cost like £475 for the 128 gig MetaQuest 3. Then you've got Game Pass Ultimate, which is £13 a month. Then on top of that, plus the Xbox. Yeah. So you're saving a little bit.
Your Game Pass and stuff like that. So I presume you could just take this out and use the EE data or whatever it is. To play it.
So yeah, like Rog says, I suppose if you want a Quest 3 and you want Game Pass, then you might as well get this. I suppose. Yeah, not a bad deal. BOBO S3 Pro Super. So this is the announcement that came last week, I believe. New head strap. So there was some. It's been a bit of an up and down journey on the BOBO head straps with the Quest 3, as far as I know, in terms of the power delivery of the batteries and all these kinds of things. Although I think it's had some updates where now it seems to be working okay with the older batteries. But regardless, this is a new strap that they've announced, and it comes with a cooling fan and also a 10,000 milliamp hour battery as well included in this strap. So this seems to be one that's been specifically designed for the Quest 3 rather than sort of them altering the design of their previous head strap to accommodate the Quest 3. But yeah, Lee, this is you again. You looked into this.
I did see it, and I don't know who does Bobo's marketing sometimes, but it does make me question it, because if you get the new head strap, it's a lot more comfortable to go to sleep in, apparently, than what the M2 Pro is. I don't understand why they put pictures like that on, but yeah, I don't know how I feel about this. I think it looks way better. Yeah, it looks like they have really designed this for the Quest 3, like you said. It looks like the back plate of it looks a lot bigger as well. And just a side note, if you do pick one of these up, you do have some of the M2 Pro batteries or the smaller ones, you won't be able to use those on the new head strap. It's only compatible for the 10,000 milliamp ones. And another good thing is they are going to sell those separately as an upgrade for your M3 Pro. So you could just get the battery and upgrade it like that. But I do like the fan idea. I don't know the price though. I mean, it's expensive. It's like 80 something pound, but then this is at the moment it's only available in the Bobo store, right? So then you'd have to pay VAT and tax and stuff like that in the UK. So to probably bring it to about 110, something like that. So
with the fan, is it like to prevent fogging? What is it?
I think it's supposed to be like a cooling fan, right?
It's cooling the headband. It's not actually dragging air out of the actual visor itself.
Yeah,
it's really strange.
Isn't it? I think
it's blowing it into the actual head, into the actual halo part.
What I want is with the Quest 2, I got sent one of those F2, I think that was Bobo as well. Bobo F2 fans that you clip on the top and it would prevent fogging for the lenses on the Quest 2. Yeah. I'm noticing like the Quest 3 is fogging up I don't know what it is. I don't know what's going on with it, but it fogs up really easily for me for some reason, the Quest 3. And what I've actually done, I've put like a wall mount my radiator now, so I'll pop it on there for literally 30 seconds to warm the lenses up before I use it.
To get it room temperature.
Yeah, just to get it, and then it won't fog up.
Yeah.
And if I could get like a little thin, lightweight fan, like the F2 fan for the Quest 2, I'd probably get that, but nobody seems to be doing those at the minute. So yeah, I'd like one of those. I think maybe some other company will bring one of those out at some point.
I mean, I don't know what the power draw on this is, though, right? I mean, it says it's 20 watts, right? Super fast charging. So
yeah,
does that mean that's what's going to charge the Quest? Because then it will be ample enough to keep it charged.
I assume that's why they're putting that number on there. It's got to mean that it can deliver 20.
Or does
20
it mean
watts.
that's how much it takes? It can take a 20 watt charge, so it'll charge quicker. This is the thing. Until we get somebody testing it and they can tell us exactly what the power draw is on it, I've no doubt it should be superior to what the M3 Pro is, because that's what all the problems are having. The battery's just not powerful enough to charge, and it's charging and discharging at different rates depending on what games you're playing.
Wasn't it like only 5 watts though? Wasn't that only delivering 5 watts? So if this is delivering that 20 watts, it should keep it fully charged anyway, no matter what, I would imagine. But
I'll probably end up picking one up, because I mean, the thing about the M3 Pro, I don't know if you felt like this as well, Roger. It just doesn't feel as comfortable. I think we mentioned it before, as what it did on the Quest 2. Now, whether that could be something to do with the fascia, or it just doesn't seem to feel right to me.
Yeah, I put mine back on my Quest 2. It feels way better on the Quest 2 than it did on the 3.
Yeah. Okay. We've also got some news this past week about Immersed. This is in the app Immersed. They've got a piece of hardware coming out. We probably mentioned it on a previous podcast, the Visor. But they've changed their pricing structure for this device now, and you can pre-order it at the moment, I believe. But the way they're doing it now, I believe you can still outright pay for it. So $1,000, you can pick up this device, which is sort of 4K by 4K per eye resolution, and it's really designed to work with the Immersed app. So it's for productivity, where you can have up to 5 displays in front of you. You can do all these productivity things which people will use to work in VR. It's very thin, it's very lightweight. But now the pricing structure that they've changed to is for where you can pre-order it for $400 plus a monthly subscription. And this monthly subscription lasts for either a single year or for 2 years. If you get the 1 year deal, it costs $60 a month. For the 2 year deal, you get it for $40 a month. And at the end of that, you can then sort of stop the subscription and still own the Visor. But if you can also then carry on and continue to pay the subscription, and you get all these other benefits. You get access to the Immersed app, the full version. It's free. You can use it free, but you get limited features on the free version. So you'll get like a more full version if you carry on the subscription. You'll also get the usual benefits that you'll get with these things. I haven't actually got them listed down here, but I think you'll get some kind of protection plan as well on it, and various things. There's a exchange, an upgrade thing in there as well, where when they bring out a new version, you'll be able to trade it in and get an upgrade. So but it's a different way.
Again, we're not sponsored or affiliated in any way by these.
No,
and like the QVC channel at the minute. About this, buy the EE bundle or buy this one.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I've not really got. I'd like to try it, but I've not really got a lot of interest in picking one of these things up. What about you?
Exactly the same. It's I don't think I can't even remember hearing about this before until it got mentioned on the notes, and it's like, okay, yeah, so it's another sort of headset. What's trying to do a specific thing? Yeah, fine. Next, I've no interest in it.
There is a thing with it where they're saying that you can use it for Steam VR as well. You will be able to use it for Steam VR, but there's no controllers or anything like that with it. Of course, so you'd use it. I mean, some people could use it for like seated, like flight sim or racing games or something like that, I suppose. But it's not really designed for that.
No.
And I mean, it might be interesting for some people. It's not really anything that I've considered. Although I will say, like this pricing plan, if I was going to pick it up, I probably would do it this way, because you're paying $400 initially, and then you've got this over either a year or 2 year. And I probably, I would probably just do that. But I don't think it's for people that want to work in VR, and I don't at the moment.
Saying that, I don't think many people will be, with the rate devs keep laying folks off. I know it's not on our show list, but did you see on Twitter, I think it was Microsoft had laid off another 2,000 people, was it?
Yeah, something like that.
I see that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all I seem to be seeing on Twitter, apart from more the I'm in your local area. That's some reasons keep popping up. I think you guys probably know what I'm on about. People who've got Twitter will know that these things keep popping up at the minute. But all I'm seeing is just people being laid off for a while. And it's like,
It's all over the place. Yeah, it's all over. I think a lot of people are saying it's like it's correction for COVID. They were taking on all these staff during COVID because people were picking up, Game Pass and stuff like that because they were off, and buying all these games, buying consoles and stuff like that because they weren't going to work and just spending all this time at home. So they needed all this entertainment. So developers were making more games, acquiring more people to make them, and now it's like
just like they're releasing a game and it's like, right, they've released the game and then they're laying 500 staff off or whatever, and it's just, you think, what? I feel for everyone in the dev world at the minute.
You look anywhere, it's in every single, like every day, you think you're going to get some kind of news story where they're laying somebody else or other like 30, 40 people from these teams. So see what happens with all that. And at the same time, I did see somebody on Reddit was saying that there's still plenty of jobs. All these people should be able to get jobs in other areas of the industry. And in fact, even in these 2,000 that Microsoft have laid off, apparently they will sort of absorb some of them at least in other areas of the company. So hopefully, everyone can land on the feet. It's got to be a horrible position to be in, to be laid off like that. So all the best to them. Right. What's this one? An official Dungeons and Dragons game. It's been announced by Resolution Games. So, of course, the makers of Demio, you would think that Demio, how do you guys say it? Demio?
I think it's Demio.
We clarified it at one point and then I forgot.
It's Demon, so it's got to be Demio, hasn't it? I would imagine.
Yeah.
But I don't know, whatever. So I've never played Dungeons and Dragons in real life, ever. Have you guys?
When I was good grief, probably late teenage, late teens to early 20s was my main thing. Probably 3.5 rule set mainly. Started with second edition. Went to 3.5 after that. Very briefly played some fourth edition and never played fifth. So, but anyway, this is all we know about it. They're doing an official Dungeons and Dragons game. We don't know whether this is going to be a full-on sort of a role-playing game, hopefully it's not just going to end up being Demio and with a reskin, because that would be disappointing. But there's no information. All we know is they're making one. Yeah.
See what comes out of that, because you were saying on the Discord as well. I saw you. I think you were replying to Lee on the Discord, because I don't know a lot about Dungeons and Dragons. I know, I know what it is, and I know enough, I suppose, to get an overview of it, but I don't really know, having never played it. But of course, it's a lot more in depth than something like just a dungeon crawler like Demio is. You have the dungeon master and the stories that go on around it, and all of those other things. So presumably they'll incorporate all of that into it, or at least, part of it, at least, you would think. But
it needs to be more. It needs to be more than Demio already is. Because it's Dungeons and Dragons. It's about the story as well. And obviously, when you play the tabletop version, if you're the DM, your job is to sort of let the characters do whatever they want within sort of within a reason, reason, and guide them in the direction you sort of want. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Hide the dice rolls when you don't want them to see what you're actually rolling. That sort of thing. That goes on a lot. I just hope it isn't just basically a tabletop dungeon game, because that's not what what D&D is. The stories need to be there. There needs to be player choice and player agency, and I think this is what made Baldur's Gate 3 so well liked, isn't it? It's like the amount of choices that were in that game was just absolutely apparent. Well, I've not played it, only from what I've heard people say, in that it's the choices you've got in there are just like off the scale compared to most games. So
that's what I've heard as well. It's like you can think outside the box, and the game will accommodate you for that. Whether this will go that far or not, we'll see. So that's pretty much all the news. But we've got a couple of things that we want to get into, and of course we'll get in CitraVR, the 3DS emulator. But before that, let's talk about this new thing, this arcade time capsule. Now, the first thing to say, so this is made by a solo developer, Half Deck, and I've been watching various videos on this actually over the past few days. And from what I can gather, this is basically a personal project. He wanted to create an arcade for himself in VR to set it out. He just wanted his own personal arcade in VR. And then it sort of developed a little bit beyond that, and he's released it for other people to download and then set up themselves and use themselves as well. So this is very much a particular vision for this arcade, and we can all enjoy it because it's free. And also, if you go onto their Discord, then you can sort of make suggestions and things like that. They might be implemented, they might not, we don't know yet. But this is reminiscent, and I think the obvious thing to also mention is the comparison to new Retro Arcade Neon, which is one of the other things in VR that we, a lot of people have probably played in the past. And that was a great title back in the day. Unfortunately, it's not really supported or updated anymore. So this is sort of the new hope of sort of retro arcade in VR. And I've been in there a few times now. As I mentioned, I've watched a few videos on this as well since first going in. But Rog, I think, again, you've probably played the most of this in the past couple of weeks. Tell us a bit more.
I love it. It's absolutely fantastic. If this actually came out right at the back end of last year, and if I could retroactively go back, I know this might be recency bias, but if I could retroactively go back to the last episode, I'd swap out one of my titles for this. I like it. I like it that much. It just nails the atmosphere. It's so good. So if anybody watching the video, if you've not seen this, tried it yourself yet, you can walk around. There's different floors of this arcade, and as you walk around, it's playing like the attract screens from every signal. I can't talk. On every
all these arcade games.
I can't say right. Not signal. Every single cabinet. And they're basically they're basically movie files as you're walking around, so you can see every arcade machine working. Then when you go up to a machine, you sort of like grip it with the trigger, and then it loads the ROM. And yes, you do have to. This is the thing with this: you do have to acquire the ROMs yourself if you want to play the games. So that's up to you. If you're not comfortable doing that, you can still download this project and walk around the arcades and experience, and you'll still get all the sound and everything else, and be able to see the machines playing. It's the atmosphere and the attention to detail. Some of the cabinets on some of the floors are sort of like generic arcade cabinets, but some of them have been, and I think he's trying to get more and more of these things. But
it's working through it. I think he's going to be adding more. Yeah. Some of them are just utterly modelled in excruciating detail. My brain's going just fuzzy thinking about it. It's such an amazing experience. The last time I even got remote, so this has got me the closest to going to the arcade club in Bury, where you walk in and you've got the sound sort of. You still can't get that same feeling as going to a proper arcade, because there's a physicality to the sound in those places where they're that loud. It's like you can feel the sound. But this is pretty good. In that regard, it's just as you're walking past, you can hear all the machines. There's music playing in the background as well. When you start playing a machine, you can just glance off to the side and see all the other machines there running away, and the sound coming from them as well. And it's absolute retro heaven. It is so good. Yeah, I think the first thing to say from my point of view on this is the developer owes me or anybody else nothing. This is a personal project that they are putting out there, and they do what they want. Of course, they do absolutely what they want. They don't owe us anything with this. I will compare it to New Retro Arcade Neon, and I think that the developer references that themselves. And in fact, I've heard conflicting things, but I believe this half deck was sort of contributing to New Retro Arcade Neon at one point anyway in the past. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, that I've heard conflicting things on that.
It was cabinet designs, wasn't it? Wasn't he doing cabinet designs for the community, something like that?
I don't know. There is a statement somewhere, I think it's in the documentation, where he says he's not affiliated with with NRAN at all.
Right,
so
okay.
Whether he means now or in the past, I don't know.
Yeah, because they did lose part of their team before they stopped updating it at all on that. Right. Anyway, but I don't know. Regardless, it doesn't really matter. I think the vision that this developer has for himself, because it's a personal project and he wants to do with it, is ideally he wants, if you've got an arcade stick that you can put at the correct height and then teleport around this room, which I'm sure is the way that he's got it set up, and play all these arcade games. It's like a purist way of playing this. And that is, that's, I can't deny that would be absolutely the most immersive way of playing this. The only suggestion I'd make, and we've spoke about this on Discord over the past week as well, the only suggestion I'd make is I would love the option to use the motion controls as a gamepad, not physical like virtual sticks or buttons or anything like that. I would like that option in there just to bring it more to the level of New Retro Arcade Neon, which is the main way I'm going to compare this. Having said that, I went in yesterday and in spite of the issue, because I'm going to play on a gamepad, and you do have to sort of, you go up, you teleport over to this machine, you use the grip button, and the ROM will then start, and you stood in front of this arcade machine, pick up a gamepad, and you can start playing. Absolutely fantastic. And actually, the thoughts crossed my mind, because I've got an arcade cabinet. I've got a MAME cabinet that I made myself from scratch. So you'd think I'm the exact kind of person that would want to go through the hoops to get the best possible experience in this. And in some ways I am. I've considered what I could do is, with my arcade cabinet, connect that up to my VR PC and have that arcade stick at the exact height and experience it like that.
Yeah.
But then I think, why don't I just play on my main cabinet anyway? And of course, the reason why you would want to do that is to get the atmosphere, to feel like you're in the arcade and play all these games like that. That's why I would go through those hoops. So look, there's no question. I'm not going to say this is anything other than incredible what they've done here. But I would really, I mean, if there's one thing I would absolutely love is to just use my motion controls as a gamepad as I could in New Retro Arcade Neon. That's the one thing I'd like to add on. But incredible. Yeah.
I mean, if you go into the Discord, there is a suggestions channel, and people have put everything in the dog on in the suggestions channel. You know? I think he said he's going to try for the next update to get smooth locomotion in, because at the moment it's teleport only. But smooth locomotion would just be nice, just to fine tune your position in front of a cabinet, for example. You know, even though
the retro arcade one though, Rog. I mean, Gary, you probably remember this as well, wasn't it? When you like teleported to that, it did teleport you like exactly in front of the arcade, right? Whereas this teleport is like more of a generic teleport where you can like place it and put it anywhere.
Somebody's already asked for that in the suggestions. It's like, you know, we'll see what happens. You've got to remember, this is like a solo dev doing it as a passion project, and like Gary says, owes everybody absolutely nothing. It's just amazing he's released it as it is. Sorry
to interrupt, Rog. Go on.
Okay. I was just going to say, I was just going to reiterate what I said before, and it's just an absolutely fantastic thing to be in. It's the closest you're going to get, I think, at the moment. It's just the attention to detail on the cabinets. Yeah. The textures on there are so high res. There's imperfections on the smudges on the glass and everything. Mm-hmm. The light reflects on the screens you're playing. It's like it's so good. I'm just repeating myself now. So yeah.
Well, I think the other thing that people will suggest in this is, because it's got like a limited set of games and ROMs. I mean, there's loads. I mean, anything I can think of probably will be there anyway. But you can sort of suggest if you want a certain game included. But the process of adding that with the correct cabinet as well, obviously it's not a small thing for the dev to add in there, because they have to make the cabinet. But like Rog says, at the moment there's a lot of sort of generic, it's those sit down Sega kind of.
I think they're more like popular in like Japan and things like that, and I think they do have something similar in the UK as well.
They've got a room full of that sort of stuff in the Berry Arcade, the arcade retro. I can't speak today. The Arcade Retro Club. Those sorts of machines there.
Yeah, but Lee, I mean, I think you and me were very similar on this, weren't we? I think we thought it was great. Yeah, and
I think it's because we both loved, the Retro Arcade Museum that much. Yeah. I mean, I spent hours and hours. It wasn't the easiest to set up. I don't understand why it didn't take off the way I thought it would take off, but just walking around that is just amazing. You just get that arcade feel, and I suppose maybe it's an age thing. I don't know if it's our age group that, because apparently that's all on YouTube. It's just our age group that watch these podcasts anyway. But it's just an experience, isn't it? It's one of the best experiences I think I've ever had in VR. Just loading this up and going in. It doesn't do it justice on a flat screen. And 2-part headset on and load this up and just see how detailed. I'm probably covering the same stuff what you guys have just mentioned, but it's just fantastic. And then I saw somebody. I mean, I'm not going to steal this, but somebody else put a comment in saying, and I do agree with them at some extent, saying people going about AAA VR titles all the time that we want AAA VR titles, and he just put, look, if I want to play AAA games, I go on my console or I'll play a AAA PC game. If I want an experience, that's when I go in VR, and I think that's what sums this up as well. It's just a fantastic experience to go in and just walk around it. It's just brilliant.
Yeah,
even the Coke cabinet. You go to the can of pop. That's all in 3D as well. And I was stood at that thinking, wow, this is the most amazing, fridge I've ever seen in VR.
There's one thing I'll say, like comparing, because of course I know I keep comparing it to the Retro Arcade Neon, because I do think that was a great experience, and I wish it was still updated and those kinds of things. I think as this developer continues to make this, there's so many little touches, like just in the Retro Arcade Neon, where you can wander around, pick up a Game Boy that is just lying around and play a Game Boy ROM and things. And I know that's not the focus of this. I know that's not what they're going for. And I made the comment on our Discord earlier. To me, this feels more like its angle is it's more like an arcade simulator. This is it's giving you that experience of being in an arcade to a purist level. New Retro Arcade Neon was focused, in my opinion, it was like a bubble of nostalgia where honestly I would go in there. Sometimes I wouldn't even play any games. I'd just go in there.
I just walk around and sit in there. For an hour at a time.
And it's doing a slightly different thing. And I don't think one is better than the other. I think they're doing different things at this stage anyway, and it's still early days. We'll see where this one goes.
I think that sort of purist sort of approach with this is what I actually like so much about it, because it is trying to emulate that experience. Yeah. And it's an experience you don't get very often, unless you go to, say, like the arcade club in the UK or where, any sort of similar place. You just don't get that anymore. And it's something when I was a kid, it was the thing I looked forward to every year, because we always used to go to the seaside for a week for our holidays. And I wasn't bothered about the seaside. I wanted the arcades. That's the only reason that's why I look forward to going on holiday. It was the arcades. And, this just brings it all back.
Well, I said that to you though, Rog, right? When we were talking, I said, I can remember going to Skegness when I was like 6 or 7 years old, and always on the main pier, that's 2 or 3 piers, I think, Skegness. In the middle of that arcade, there was a Dragon's Lair arcade, 10 pence. And and it was there for years. It was there for like 20 odd years. That Dragon's Lair was there. And I mean, I went a few years back and it wasn't. And I was totally gutted. I was like, right, everybody go home. I've only come here to see that.
Okay. So definitely check that out. We'll probably put a link to the Discord if you want some more information on the Arcade Time Capsule anyway in the description.
I've already actually been looking at arcade sticks. The 8-bit do arcade stick, because that's what everybody seems to be getting. But then I found the Mayflash 700, and that looked good. But apparently the Mayflash 700 Elite is due soon. And that may be the one for me, I think. Yeah,
but that's the thing. That if you could sort of just assign a little corner in your room, I think that's the amazing thing. If you've got the space, just a little corner is all you need. You can set that arcade stick up to the correct height, and then you've got access to this whole virtual arcade. And that, I mean, that is sort of the dream of what VR can offer. Yeah. You don't need the space.
The great thing that the 8-bit do and the Mayflash as well, they're both wireless and wired. Which is, so even if you've got nowhere to permanently set it up, it doesn't mean you've got to be trailing a wire everywhere. You can sit back on your couch, whack that arcade controller on your lap, and away you go.
Yeah. I don't think I've been excited as such in VR for a long time as going in that. I think I've mentioned before, I was trying to talk about a game that I used to play when I was a kid, and I said, like Tarzan swinging along and that. It's in there. It's called Jungle Hunt.
Oh, right.
And I was like, I ran to it. I like dropped after Jungle Hunt, and I was playing that, and it's just brilliant. It's fantastic.
Well, yeah, you guys were both like into, because I didn't try it till a few days after you first tried it, and you guys were both talking about it. Rod, you were like up till the early hours. You said you've been in R-Type and stuff.
Right, nothing. It's a rare title that keeps me up late at night. This has kept me up until 5 a.m. in the morning. Yeah, twice.
Yeah.
which is that once would be rare enough, and this thing's done it twice, and it'll do it again. I think.
Yeah.
I spent so much time on R-Type.
It's one of the best. Like I say, I'll go back again. It's one of the best experiences you can have in VR right now.
Yeah, absolutely, easily. Yeah.
Give us motion controllers, gamepad, but whatever.
Yeah,
I would love that.
Motion controllers a few times.
If you do go onto Discord, don't hassle the developer for Space Harrier and Afterburner and Outrun and Phoenix and Mooncrester in that particular order. Don't do that too
don't
much,
do that,
please.
yeah.
No.
I mean, what's probably not mentioned. It's got like 4 floors. I think it's got 6 altogether, but I think there's only 4 floors you can actually go on at the minute. And there's so many arcade games. I mean, I found track and field in there, and I had half an hour on track and field, but there's more to come, sure.
I think, the 5th floor stood out to me. It's one where you got Street Fighter straight as soon as you go in, and I quite like that one. There's some in there, Shinobi and stuff was.
The one with all the proper cabinets. They're the ones that are really impressive.
Yeah, I think that's 1st floor, and then the 5th. I think they've got the proper cabinets in at the moment. But yeah. Anyway, let's move on. So something else that we've been playing, some more ancient games or slightly newer games, I suppose. CitraVR on the Quest 2 and 3. This is a 3DS emulator. It's based on the 3DS emulator of Citra, but this is the VR version, which has been programmed by Amanda Watson, who used to work at Meta, and she was responsible for sorting out Airlink, basically. She was the one who created Airlink for the Meta Quest, so she's done some good stuff there. I used Airlink more than Virtual Desktop for a long time, but I don't know if they're still supporting Airlink quite as much anymore. I wonder what's going to go on with that as it goes on. But anyway, CitraVR is a 3DS emulator that you can play in VR. You get the 3D effect, and you can play all of these different games. I've played quite a lot of 3DS games, but only for a few minutes on each one, just to try them out, really. So I'll just quickly say, I think, so I actually went into the one that you're showing on our screen at the moment, Rog, Space Harrier. I went into that first just because you mentioned it, and it works great. You've got the 3D effect, performance is fantastic. And then I'll go into various other titles, and I think you're going to get varying degrees of performance issues. That's the main thing. I went into Mario Kart 7, and as you mentioned, Rog, it's so close. It is really close to running great in this emulator on the Quest 3. But there are, and I think it's shader stuff. So VR Bums, who is the sort of the Team Beef lead, he has been looking into this, and he says it seems to be like shader stuff. So once you've done a few laps on Mario Kart 7, then it should start to run a lot smoother. And that's okay. You know, it's a beta. That's the thing. This is a beta at the moment. So we've got to see where it goes. And it's incredible regardless of performance issues at the moment, and it's only going to get better in the future. Rambling a little bit, Lee, I'll go over to you first on this. What did you think when you tried it?
Yeah, I think it's great too. It's. I mean, I think they've altered it now, right, Rog? I think they're up to like version 3.C or D, or is it version 3? I think they've had about 3 revisions since it's come out, right, to alter some of the things it does. But I mean, you start you off in. My brain's gone dead. The mode you can see everything in your room. Mixed reality, the mixed reality.
It's like
reality. Yeah, I forgot the name of that, so clip that. But I think now it does start actually in like the Black Void. I think when it starts up like that. So whether it's using resources for that, I don't know. But a couple of the games that I did try, again, it's a ROM situation, so it's a bit of a grey area. We can't really talk about the ROM stuff, but I think it's great, for what I played. I did have a bit more success on Mario Party 7. I altered a few of the settings, and I did get a few stutters when I first started playing it, but I played through one of the levels, and I stuttered free. It was fine. It was perfect. I got done right at the line, so it's definitely true to Mario, but the Mario Kart game, it done me like an inch from the line. I got done by
I did as well. Yeah.
Right, I just about to come first up, brilliant.
It always happens, yeah.
Always. So, but yeah, a couple of the other games I think you're going to struggle with some of the bigger titles, but like I say, work in progress. It's only going to get better, surely.
Ocarina of Time would run quite well. Again, you
Yeah.
get these little stutters in places and things like that. It's perfectly like Mario Kart 7, perfectly playable. I will acknowledge, like maybe I'm going to reveal a bit too much here. I am a little bit OCD about emulators, to be honest. I get a little bit strange, and what it is, like for example, like on the Steam Deck, one of the best emulation devices I've ever had, and I've got a load of stuff on there. But people will say, so you've got like PS2 emulation, for example, on there, and a lot of the stuff will run at full speed. But then I watch these videos on YouTube where people will say this certain game on Steam Deck, PS2 game will run, say, on native PS2, it will run at 30 frames per second. On Steam Deck, it will run at 26 frames per second. Perfectly playable, perfectly fine. The problem I have, and this is my issue, it's nothing to do with the quality of anything. I have this thing at the back of my mind where I really have a problem. Like I know it's not how it was. And there's plenty of stuff that you can point to, like audio on emulation. It's not correct always. There's various graphical glitches and stuff like this that will happen. That doesn't bother me as much. I need the game to be running at 100% speed as it did on the original hardware. That's the only thing I really need. And if it doesn't, I have this, it's like I know it's a problem with me. It's not a problem in general. And I really struggle. So playing Mario Kart 7, it's so close, perfectly playable. And I don't want to play it because I'm getting these shader stutters.
Yeah.
It's a problem for me, I know.
It's the same with me for Mario Kart. It's just so close, but it's not quite there. And it's the audio keeps breaking up every now and again, and that's the main thing. And it throws me off. It's so close. The thing with it is this is a port, like you said before, of basically a desktop emulator. So it's going to entirely a lot of it depends on what even works properly on that in the first place. And if you look at the compatibility lists for the desktop version, a lot of the stuff isn't listed as perfect. It's listed as works great, but not perfect. I think Space Harrier is one that's listed as perfect. And even then, it is perfect up until the point of when the bullets in the background get right to the far distance, the shadows seems to turn solid black. And it's just for a split second. And it's like, as daft as it is, I notice it, and it does kind of bug me. It's most minor thing. It's the most minor thing in the world. And I don't know if I've got an original 3DS and I've got Space Harrier on there, but I've not gone and checked to see if it actually does that on the actual proper 3DS as well. I'm not entirely sure. But Space Harrier on a massive screen in 3D in my living room is just, it's so good. The bizarre thing is, if you're looking at anybody looking at the footage now, I'm looking at it, and I think it looks so fake with the sort of like the fuzzy background, the fuzzy pass-through background, and then with the sharp sort of like rendered image over the top, it just looks wrong.
Yeah, and also when I tried it, it was only the mixed reality. It didn't go into that black void. Maybe that does help with performance and stuff, because I know that people have said that if you're using the mixed reality stuff, it drains the battery more, and you would. Yeah. The reason must be because it needs more power to use that. I think
by default now it is the black void if you load it up.
I think they said it's default. The black void is default now for Quest Pro and Quest 2. Right. I think for Quest 3, I think it might be passed through for Quest 3. But I did try the void option for Mario Kart, and it didn't make any difference as far as I can see. Yeah.
Yeah, there are options in there. So you defaults is like auto resolution, which I think, Lee, did you put this in this Discord where they changed it from originally it was going to be like 5 times?
It was 5 times resolution, wasn't it? But they changed the default now to 3. Yeah. I think we were knocking it down to like 2, right, Raj? Just to, and that was like acceptable. But I think 3 will look a lot better.
I went down to 1 on the weird thing is, so I go down to 1 times resolution on Mario Kart, and then it didn't make any difference to performance. So that again probably means it is shader stuff really that's causing those hitches. It's not general performance, it's just the shader. So there's a few options where you can actually, there's an option where you can pre-compile shaders in there. I selected that, and then there was another one that you told me to do, Lee, something to do with sound buffer or something.
Audio stretching.
Audio stretching. That's turn that off.
Yeah, so there's various things you can do anyway. I mean, it's like I say, it's a beta, so things will probably improve, and it's good to have either way.
And again, some of the stuff, it's just purely down to the how accurate the emulation is so far. Because if you play, I downloaded the desktop version to have a look at Mario Kart, and it isn't perfect. The audio wasn't breaking up like it does on Quest, but there were still hitches in the graphics every now and again. So I think there's, even with a PC behind it, it's still not entirely there. But so it's an emulation problem, it'll get better over time, no doubt.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept where you think, how has nobody thought about doing this before? Because the 3DS, obviously with that 3D thing, it sort of well suited to VR. And maybe people have tried to do it before, but
yeah, I mean, I don't know how long the desktop version of Citra's been out, but for some bizarre reason, I don't think I've ever had a look at it before.
No, I've not. No, I know there's been ones for like Switch and Wii U and things like that, haven't there? But I didn't know about the 3DS until this popped up.
What do have you got like a lot of history with the 3DS or anything? Because I've got no nostalgia for it. I've never owned one.
Yeah, my daughter had one. Yeah,
I've always had the Nintendo handhelds from the DS. Was it the DS, the small black sort of the small square sort of very pocket form factor one, what folded in half.
That was DS.
That was I always get the names mixed up. And I had a 3DS as well, and I've still got a 3DS XL. I traded up to a 3DS XL, so I've still got like original cartridges, and I've still got stuff installed there. What I bought on the store, like I pretty much bought all the Sega stuff on the store. So it basically became a space area machine by the end.
Yeah. By the way, the 3DS XL is actually a very good emulation device in itself, I've heard. So apparently you can run some, like obviously older stuff, like up to, I don't even know, maybe Super Nintendo you can run it on there. I don't know, but it's because that was one of the reasons I was considering picking one up a few years ago. For the emulation on that, but emulation within emulation.
I think they're pretty expensive now as well, the 3DS.
Oh, right.
At one point, they seem to be going, a good quality one seems to be going from 150 to 200, depending. Yeah. I swore the last time I looked, and this was probably pre-COVID, I think people are trying to get 60 or 70 quid for them at points. But now 60 or 70 quid gets you a non-functioning one.
Oh,
so it's. I think maybe the pandemic sort of pushed the prices up.
Let's get on to some upcoming games then. The first one, Project Demigod. So I did see a news story on this one. So it launches on February 1st for PC and Quest, and it's like a superhero kind of simulator game, really. Previously available on App Lab. I didn't put this on the list. Who did? Rog, did you add this? Or
I dropped this on the list because I'd not heard of it before, but mainly I put it on there because I noticed it had been picked up by Fast Travel Games. So I thought there's probably something behind it. It must be, they must have seen something in it. I don't know anything about it, in all honesty. It was just I saw that Fast Travel were publishing it, so I thought, oh, interesting. It does seem to be like a create your own superhero type thing. But yeah, I sort of look at the trailer and think, it doesn't look amazing. But again, it's been, you say, Fast Travel have picked it up, so they must see something in it, surely.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I used to play this one called Powers VR. I've still got it on Steam. That was like a very early kind of superhero kind of thing where you can fly around the city and take on enemies and stuff. And I've got to say that the one from the trailer. For this one, it doesn't look vastly different.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Might be fun anyway, regardless. So
it looks similar to what I've seen before. Has this been sort of like demoed for a while? It does look like something I've seen in the past for sure. The Demigod thing. I'm not sure. I could be thinking about something else.
Yeah, the only other one. I mean, the reason as well it sort of looks very similar to Powers VR is because it's got that comic book thing.
It could be that I'm thinking of.
That they both have that. So maybe this is, I don't know a lot about this, so maybe this could be an updated version of that or completely separate project, but we'll see anyway. Also coming up is Max Mustard. This is from the developers of Richie's Plank Experience, and it looks like it's taking cues from Astrobot. Looks pretty good, actually. I've got to say, like, this is a little platformer, but it does look very Astrobot in terms of like influence and stuff.
Astrobot crossed with Lucky's Tale, I'd say.
Yeah,
Lucky's Tale.
Yeah,
definitely.
So they've now announced that the Quest, the official store version, will be released on March 21st, but you can get early access in App Lab as well from February the 14th. And it's coming to PC and PSVR 2 in mid-2024, and it's going to be $30. So, I think I'll be picking this one up. It looks interesting enough to give it a try. I don't know if I'll wait for the official store release or the App Lab one. I'm not sure yet, but
it's weird that they're doing that. Why are they releasing
I don't know. Maybe, I don't know.
General feedback at it, I'd have thought.
Possibly,
maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I hope it's a good one. I'm sort of in the mood for a 3D sort of platformer. Yeah,
because I mean, we all like Lucky's Tale, don't we? We really like that.
I enjoyed it.
They work so well in VR as well. That type of thing, a platformer, what's the one that jumps after the apples and things? Crash Bandicoot, stuff like that. That'd work really well in VR. And Astrobot would work really well in VR, but keep banging on that drum.
Yeah, it's a shame. Shame they can't, because with Astrobot, I don't want to bang on about this again, but you would think that they could do a port of the original. I know that the DualSense is not motion, like it's not got any motion controls, but they could do it with the the VR motion controllers. They could sort of adapt it to use those, I would think. But I would like to play through that again. Yeah. So that's pretty much it for the show, isn't it? Anybody got anything else?
So we're all sad now because we all want to play Astrobot on PSVR 2, and we can't. That's what we're like, we can't play that.
It's all right. We've got Max Mustard to look forward to.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that as well. It looks fun. It's a fun platformer. We've not got many of those in VR, really, so I welcome it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it then. So thank you very much for watching and listening to the Recentered Podcast, episode 33. We'll be back in a couple of weeks, I suppose, as usual. And that's pretty much it. I don't know. It's a bit of a dud end. What is it? Anybody? There's got to be something we can. Is that it? Are we done?
Well, do you want a story? I've got a bit of a weird story.
Yeah,
right.
Story.
I need to give you a bit of a setup on this.
Okay.
Right, because it's like where I live. There's a road. The way the road sort of curves round and then dips down as it heads towards town. It causes accidents, and there's generally a major crash probably once a year. I'd have to say.
Okay.
The point being, sometimes you find bits of car, wing mirror, headlights, whatever, that they've missed during the cleanup. So, my mate Tim came round the other week, and he said, there's somebody's left a wheel outside your house. So this was sort of impressive on one major account, at least in the fact that I missed the accident. I thought I had. And secondly, it's impressive that they've managed to leave an entire wheel behind. Yeah, it's that's a big step up from a wing mirror. So anyway, I looked outside. Yeah, and it's like I don't know if you can tell me what car this came from.
Wheel. I thought you meant like a car wheel.
Yeah, no. that's what I thought. It said somebody's left a wheel. I thought there'd been an accident that a wheel from the car had been left outside. That was outside the house.
You could probably sell that on eBay.
It was just like is it a Logitech one? I can't see.
I don't think it's it is.
It's like an Xbox, an old Xbox.
Yeah, I know
it's got the PlayStation. Is it got PlayStation symbols on? I don't know.
I don't think it's even an Aldi steering wheel. Let's face it.
Let's know in the comments if you know what that is. And
there we go. It's PlayStation. But
sensation. It says in the middle there. Woo!
But thankfully, there wasn't an accident. So there we go. Somebody had just chucked that out the window.
You can do your amazing outro now, Garrett.
Oh, okay.
Right, have you got it wrote down, ready for what you need to say?
I have.
See you next time, isn't it?
Yep. See you. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.
Right, so you have to start that again. So Luke's laughing, right? You have to go again.
What am I doing? Am I doing it now?
Yeah.
Just keep all this in. Who cares?
Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening to Recentered episode 33. We'll be back in a couple of weeks. See you next time.
Cheers, everyone.
Take care.
Good luck on the edit.
Can you see that?
Hold on. No, can't see that. Hold on. Can you see it, Lee?
Is it just a stream post? Fluke has minimized their application. Sit tight.
Oh no! It's streaming. It's failed. No.
Oh no!
It's failed. That's going to take some editing.
Yeah, it is.
Oh my.